Rugby Championship 2023, folks, is only about a week away. How do we think the teams are going to line up after 3 rounds? Remembering this is an abridged version of the tournament this year with the Rugby World Cup on the horizon. So it's a quick kind of half version. We'll go through my 4 picks for the 4 spots. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Predictions is always a bit of a mug's game, but we'll go through some kind of hopefully logical connections, and you guys can let us know your thoughts, how you reckon they're going to line up. For this one, I should say I have written up a piece for Planet Rugby, so check that article down in the description as well. 4th spot for the Rugby Championship. Am I bold enough to go with anyone but the Pumas? Because the Pumas tend to finish last in the Rugby Championship. I think once in the Rugby Championship proper, they've finished other than last. And then in that COVID-affected one where the Springboks didn't join in, I think they finished second from 3 teams. No, I'm not. I'm still going to pick the Pumas for 4th spot. Why do I reckon the Pumas are going to get 4th? Well, I mean, history is against the Pumas on this one, sadly. They're certainly an improving side. You don't come to New Zealand last year and get your first win without being an improving side, like on New Zealand soil against the All Blacks. So that was incredible. But when I look at the size of the squad that Michael Check has picked, it's like almost 50 guys. I feel like this tournament for the Pumas is still about getting ducks in a row. I could be mistaken, because when you look at the number of players Michael Checker used for the Pumas last year, he was kind of one of the more consistent guys. He wasn't just chopping and changing guys week in, week out to make sure everybody gets experience. He's got a few uncapped guys in terms of like bringing in some sevens guys who I haven't really seen, but people tell me they are absolute units. So if he's going to get some of these guys into the mix, the Rugby Championship is going to be that time to do it. So I do feel like it's still going to be 4th for the Pumas. Their fixtures list also doesn't help. You've got the All Blacks first up at home. Now, you may be able to catch the All Blacks unawares here. I don't think the Pumas have ever beaten the All Blacks on Argentinian soil. Their 2 wins have come in Australia and New Zealand. So that would be kind of a new achievement. First, it was their first win over the All Blacks. Then it was their first win in New Zealand over the All Blacks. So they could get their first win in Argentina, but the All Blacks are going to go into that one as heavy favourites. The All Blacks will be without some of their Crusaders guys, so you never know, but also the Pumas have already released their list of guys who aren't going to be available for that first game, and it's also pretty lengthy. So first game's a pretty hard one against the All Blacks, and then 2 away games. Away games against Australia and away game against South Africa. I don't know, man. It just feels like a tough ask for the Pumas. As long as they're getting their ducks in a row for the World Cup, I think I'll be happy with Michael Checker and his kind of 48 guys going through to the World Cup. So no real dramatic pick there for 4th. And for 3rd, I'm kind of sticking with what the bookies have got. The bookies have got the Wallabies coming 3rd. I also have the Wallabies coming 3rd. There's a lot of kind of optimism, hope around what Eddie Jones can do with the Wallabies. And Eddie Jones has kind of got this reputation as being kind of a quick fix guy, like the guy you want in there for one cycle, but not really any longer. And we know when he joined England, he had immediate success. But if we look back a little more, he didn't have immediate success with Japan, and he didn't have immediate success with the Australians the first time he was at the helm. So I do feel like with the new coach, the new systems, the new co-captains thing, a bunch of new players in the squad, there's too much new for them to hit the ground that quickly when you've only got 3 games in the series. Remember, there's a 4th game outside of the Rugby Championship against the All Blacks, like a Bledisloe Cup game, but for the Rugby Championship, you've only got 3 games, and your first one up is in Pretoria, where they have never won. So it just seems like a bit of an uphill battle. On the plus side, they are back in Australia for their home games against Argentina and New Zealand, but they're not playing any games at Fortress Suncorp. I know they lost against England at Suncorp the last time they played there, but that's like their kind of go-to ground in terms of solid home wins. They're playing in Sydney and in Melbourne, neither of which are like absolute fortresses for the Wallabies at home. I mean, you think about the amount of Kiwis who are going to be at the MCG for that game against the All Blacks. Is going to be almost like a home atmosphere for the All Blacks, you would reckon. So, yeah, I think it'll take Eddie longer than 3 games to get things right. So I think the Rugby Championship is again going to be more of a kind of settling in period for Eddie with the Wallabies than a title run. But who knows, man? 3 games, anything could happen. Second spot, I am going to go with the All Blacks. Now, this is one that's a little bit of a left field one because the bookies have got the All Blacks taken out the competition. I'm going to put the All Blacks in second, partly because of history. I know history doesn't count for that much, but in the abridged version of the Rugby Championship, 2019, All Blacks don't win it. 2015, All Blacks don't win it. 2011, All Blacks don't win it. The All Blacks have got a thing about not winning the Rugby Championship or the Tri-Nations during these kind of abridged times. The last one we won was 2007. So, yeah, she's been a wee while. The All Blacks still kind of, under Ian Foster, aren't the most convincing of sides. They've certainly looked better since they made some kind of backroom staff changes. But the history factor, the Fozzie factor, and also the fixtures factor just has me doubting the All Blacks a little bit. It doesn't feel good to doubt the All Blacks, and maybe in my own mind as an All Blacks fan, I like us kind of not having that ultimate pressure of being favourites. I mean, we are favourites with the bookies, to be honest, but the All Blacks are going to be missing a few players for the Argentina game. Like I mentioned, the Crusaders guys, a lot of them, like Whitelock and I think Jordan and Fanganuku, a lot of these guys aren't going to be travelling. Then when we come back home, we don't have the benefit of playing at Fortress Eden Park. We are playing the Springboks at home, but we're playing them at Mount Smart. I think the All Blacks have only played like one game at Mount Smart. They put 100 points on Tonga. So it's not like the most familiar of grounds for the All Blacks. And the All Blacks' recent record against South Africa at home, it's been a while, but it's not great. And then the final game against Australia, if you are going to play the Aussies in the Rugby Championship, I reckon you'd want to play them first, where South Africa's got them, because that's the first game where Eddie gets to try out everything. I mean, there's maybe a little bit of that kind of surprise factor with Eddie in the first game, but I feel like Eddie's plan is going to be most coming to fruition by that third game. So if anything, the All Blacks, in terms of their fixtures list, have got the Wallabies at the time. They don't want to have them, even if they will have kind of less intimidating MCG compared to like a Suncorp or whatever, where the All Blacks record is not great. And the fact that the All Blacks have picked a bunch of uncapped guys as well. When do you play them? Do you send them all to Argentina and then play the experienced guys for the other ones? If so, you risk a bit of a banana skin against the Pumas. I don't know. But if you're going to pick these uncapped guys, you need to play them. Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be that much point. They should be off going to Japan with the All Blacks kind of 15 squad instead of the All Blacks squad proper. But yeah, I don't know. History's not on the All Blacks side for that one, even if the bookies are backing the All Blacks to get first. I'm going to put the pressure on the Springboks, folks. The Springboks to go first, to do what they did in 2019. 2019 obviously has that little bit of history factor. The Boks got that Rugby Championship win and were the first side to win that competition and then follow it up with a World Cup campaign. And remember, the Springbok squad of all the squads is looking the most stable. Like the Pumas brought these uncapped sevens guys in. Eddie Jones has made a bunch of changes to the Wallabies in terms of bringing in some new guys that he likes the look of, which makes sense with the change up top. And Fozzie's brought in a bunch of guys as well. It's only the Boks that have gone, we've already got our ducks in a row. Apart from Jean Klein, the guy who switched allegiances from Ireland back to his native South Africa, everything's pretty stable. There are certainly a few guys, like Marnie Libok especially, who's still in kind of single-digit caps, Kanan Moody, Evan Roos, like a bunch of guys who are still, less than 5 caps. And with Pollard out, maybe that takes away from the Springboks' chances. But I reckon Libok can run the show if he is given a chance. I'm kind of pleased that he will get a chance on the back of his November games to potentially run the show for the Boks. And I like their fixtures list. They've got the Aussies at home, so Eddie's still getting his house in order. You play them at Pretoria at altitude where you've never lost before. Then you come to New Zealand. You don't have to play at Eden Park. And remember, Russie's done this thing in the past where he's got the double squads thing. He plays one squad for the first game against Australia, potentially sends a core group of players to New Zealand early to kind of acclimatise. So by the time that the All Blacks game is ready to be played, these guys are well and truly kind of in the New Zealand time zone, no jet lag and whatnot. They're used to the weather, so that's a potential thing. Mount Smart's not a fortress. It'll be the first time the Boks have ever played there, and it's pretty much a lot of these New Zealand guys as well, apart from some games against Moana Pacifica in Super Rugby. And then they've got a home game against Argentina at Joburg, where they have likewise got altitude and where they have never lost. So it just feels like there's a lot to like about the South Africans. I mean, as I said, there's Pollard's injury and whatnot, but still, bookies have got them second. I'm going to put the pressure on them and say they should be going ahead and winning this Rugby Championship with 2 home games, albeit with an away trip to New Zealand, which will be challenging. But yeah, there you go, folks. Predictions for 2023. You guys let us know your thoughts. Be sure to check out the Planet Rugby article down in the description. And also, we've got a Super Brew pool for the Rugby Championship as well. If you know your own predictions, chuck them down in the old Super Brew pool. I'll put that in the description too. It's always a bit of fun. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts. And yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.